All right, guys, in today's video, we have some new PlayStation 5 information to go over and talk about. And not only is it interesting, but it's actually really good news as well if it does turn out to be true. The first thing we're highlighting are some pictures that have apparently leaked out showing the PlayStation 5 shell, or the outer white casing, actually detached from the console itself. The reason why this is relevant, and in my opinion worth paying attention to here, is because if you look at these images, you can very clearly see that this outer shell or casing is designed in a way where it can just very, very easily pop on or pop off, right? Like it can just click in and it can pop off, at least based off of what we're seeing here. Now, we don't know if these images are legitimate, but it seems very likely that they are. And this lends a lot of credence to the idea that Sony is actually going to give you the ability to further customize your PlayStation 5 console with different color shells, or maybe even they're going to offer shells that have special designs on them. This is something that Sony has done in the past. They did it with the PS4 originally, where that glossy side of the PlayStation 4 console could actually pop off and you could put another one on there. And they did that for a short period of time. So it's not like this is something completely new or like completely out of the realm of something Sony would do, right? Eric Limpel of Sony also recently hinted subtly that this is something they were going to be talking about. So it would not surprise me at this point in time if we do find out you can actually get different colors of the PlayStation 5. Not literally order like a different version of the PlayStation 5 that's a different color, but just literally order the shell. And you can maybe get a black version. You can get red, blue, whatever. Maybe you can even get ones for games like Ratchet and Clank or Spider-Man. I mean, it sounds really cool in my opinion. And frankly, I hope it's true. I hope that what we're seeing here does, subtly indicate that this is what we can look forward to, right? And it is worth noting that these leaked out through a Chinese forum called A9VG. And again, they do look legitimate. And if you inspect these images, it seems very clear that these outer shell casings are not really attached to the PlayStation 5 in a really meaningful way. At least it just doesn't seem like that. I could be wrong, but I'm looking at them right now and they literally just look like you can pop them on and off. A lot of people were actually really concerned about this when they saw the PS5 because they were like, wow, they look like they could be pretty flimsy or they could easily be ripped off. But maybe that's the way it's designed. Like, it's okay if it rips off because it's literally just supposed to come off very easily. I mean, not so easily that if you just pick it up, it's going to come off. But, if you put a little, force into it, it'll just pop right off. But no big deal because it can just pop right back on, right? I think a lot of people are beginning to suspect that this is actually what Sony plans to do. They're going to offer different variations of these shells that you can buy. That also sounds like something that would be pretty lucrative for Sony, potentially based off of the profit margins. I have to imagine it would not be all that expensive to produce these. And who knows, maybe they could offer something similar with the PS5 to what they did with, or not what Sony did, but what Microsoft did with the controllers with Design Labs, where you can just literally customize it on a website or whatever. Maybe they'll do that. And you can order a PS5 that way, potentially. The only thing that we really don't know is about the DualSense controller. Okay, like, I don't think the DualSense, and I could be wrong, we'd have to wait for Sony to confirm this. This is assuming that they're going to allow you to get different colors for the PS5 shell casing here. But we don't know if they're going to do something similar with the DualSense controller. It just doesn't seem like that would be as easy or convenient. So that's kind of an unknown until we learn more about the DualSense, but I had to take time to relay this information to you guys because it really does seem like if you're somebody who is not happy with the white and black two-tone, that at some point in time you will be able to buy these shells. And so I think it would be smart of Sony, before we move on to the next topic here, I think it would be smart of them to actually reveal this information before the PS5 comes out and let people know how easy it is to replace the shells of the, on the outside of the PlayStation 5, because believe it or not, I think there is a decent amount of people, or there are a decent amount of people who are going to sit back and wait until a special edition is announced or a black version or something like that. And so if people found out like, oh, I could just buy different casings for it, then I'm going to buy it day one, even if they release a little bit later. So I think Sony should announce this before the console's out. That's just my 2 cents. But something else we have to talk about here that is, I don't know, I'd say maybe it's even more interesting, in my opinion, is apparently the PlayStation 5 is predicted to ship over 120 million units in just 5 years, which would be absolutely crazy if that did actually happen. That would very clearly indicate that, you know, the PS5 would potentially outsell the PS4, and we know how well the PS4 sold. So it says here, Sony's upcoming PS5 console is forecast to ship at least 120 million units within the next 5 years, according to sources close to its Taiwanese back-end supply chain. What's funny is this article actually, they forgot to write million or type up million, so it just says at least 120 units within the next 5 years. Yeah, I would hope that Sony could sell at least 120 units within the first 5 years. That'd be pretty concerning if they couldn't. And so it says here, as reported by DigiTimes, it is expected that the life cycle for home consoles may be reduced from 6 to 7 years to 5 years, with PS5 shipments expected to hit anywhere between 120 and 170 million during the next 5 years. Now, obviously that 170 million would be on the high end, and that would, like, let me put it to you this way. If Sony could sell 170 million PS5s in the next 5 years, that would break all records, and the PS5 would go on to be the best-selling home console in history. Do I suspect that will happen? No, I think maybe that's a little bit too high, but I could see the PS5 hitting 120. Within 5 years, though, I don't know. Sony would have to do a really good job selling this console. And again, I want to let you guys know, this is further indication, whether anybody wants to believe it or not, that Sony may be coming in at a lower price point, at least for the digital version. I know I've been saying that a lot. I know there's a lot of people who don't believe it. I'm not saying it's 100%, but this does lend some credence to that idea. So it goes on to say here, this is compared to 110 million shipments achieved by the PS4 after its launch in November 2013. And it was recently reported that Sony has bumped up the shipments for the PS5 for 2020 up to 10 million units. Now, guys, this is, I had to say, like, the reason why I'm highlighting this is because you have to understand why Sony, well, first of all, we need to ask ourselves, can we expect the PlayStation 5's life cycle to last longer than 5 years? I don't know. I've actually, I was listening to, I think it was Moore's Law is Dead, his most recent video, and he was, you know, says he has sources that have come to him with information. And one of the things he did talk about, I meant to talk about this earlier, maybe even a separate video, but I'll just mention it here. He mentioned that the sources were telling him Sony, as of right now, doesn't really plan to have a PS5 Pro. Instead, what they would do is they would just make it the PlayStation 6. And that's really interesting to me. And that kind of, you know, it makes sense. That information, I should say, it kind of aligns itself with what we're hearing now, what's being reported by DigiTimes here, to where if Sony's expecting a shorter life cycle, rather than making a PS5 Pro, they'll just go to the PlayStation 6. My question to you guys is, would 5 years be long enough? We know that if Sony were to do this with the PlayStation 6, that they would undoubtedly have PlayStation 6 exclusive games. They believe in generations. We already know this. So would this mean that we could see the PlayStation 5's life cycle only last 5 years? Maybe that's normal. I don't know. It seems to me the traditional period is anywhere between 6 years on the low end and then maybe 8 years on the high end. And we saw with the PS3 was almost like 10 years. But either way, I think this is great news, because this tells you that Sony, for one reason or another, over the next 5 years is expecting demand for the PS5 to absolutely skyrocket. They're going to be anticipating that they're going to ship 120 million units in 5 years, which would be crazy. That would mean the PS5 would outpace the PS4. So pretty crazy. Let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below, guys. That's going to do it for the video. Let me know what you think about these PlayStation 5 shell casings that have leaked out. Do you think we will be able to get different colors? And let me know what you think about this report that Sony's predicted to ship over 120 million units in 5 years. Leave the video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload. And feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.